Hi, I'm Mr. McMillan. The earliest Christians used very simple symbols called monograms to represent their religious beliefs. Here are 3 examples you should know. The Greek word for fish was ichthus. Although fish are mentioned several times in the Gospels, for example some of the apostles were fishermen, the true meaning of this symbol is slightly deeper. In Greek, each letter is the first letter of another word. Today we might call this an acronym or a mnemonic. I is for Jesus, which is Greek for Jesus. The CH sound is for Christos, which means Christ. The TH sound is for Theo, which means God. U is for Euos, which means Son, and S is for Soter, which means Saviour. Together, ichthus stands for Jesus Christ, God's Son, Saviour. This short statement of belief demonstrates that a person recognises Jesus as the divine Son of God, sent by God to save the world. Chi-Rho. This symbol consists of the first 2 letters of the Greek word for Christ. Christ is the Greek version of the Hebrew word Messiah. In Judaism, the Messiah was a figure who would be sent by God to bring peace to the world. Christians believe that Jesus is the Messiah that the prophets spoke about. The use of the Rho symbol, which has a cross shape, is a reminder of the crucifixion by which Jesus saves the world. Alpha and Omega are the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, and so using them together is a symbol for eternity. God is eternal, and so to refer to Jesus as the Alpha and the Omega, or the beginning and end, is to acknowledge that he also is eternal, that he is a divine being who has been with God since the beginning. This symbol is normally found in a Catholic church on the Paschal candle, or Easter candle. Since the early church, Christians have developed many other ways of portraying Jesus using art. A crucifix refers to any physical representation of Jesus on the cross. The image of a crucified Jesus is a reminder of Jesus' sacrificial death, which brings forgiveness of sins. Christians see this as a sign of God's love because of the lengths to which he was willing to go to save mankind. A crucifix will normally show the wound inflicted by the soldier to check that Jesus was dead. The Gospels record that blood and water flowed from this wound, which Catholics believe are a reminder of the sacraments of the Eucharist and baptism. Most churches will place a crucifix in a prominent position where all worshippers can see and be reminded of the physical nature of the crucifixion. The emphasis is that Jesus suffered because he actually had a human nature, according to the doctrine of the Incarnation. The Sacred Heart is an image of Jesus which normally consists of the following elements. Jesus with wounds of the nails in his hands and feet as a reminder of his sacrifice on the cross. A physical heart on his chest with a crown of thorns wrapped around it to represent the crown Jesus wore at his crucifixion. Around the heart is a fire which represents God's love for all of humanity. Normally Jesus is using one of his hands to point to his heart, and it is traditional for his face to portray an expression of peace or love. In the history of the Church there have been some Christians who have disagreed with the use of images in worship. During the iconoclasm in the 8th and 9th century, many churches had their mosaics, paintings and statues destroyed. In the 16th century, the Protestant Reformation sought to get rid of images, and today many Protestant churches take a less favourable view of the use of images. These Christians argue that the creation of images breaks the second commandment. You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall not bow down to them or worship them. Exodus 20 verses 4-5. If a person is kneeling before a statue praying, it is possible to think that they might be worshipping the statue as an idol. Furthermore, God is infinite, so any attempt to portray him using finite materials is bound to fail and does not do justice to God. Also, using statues and images can portray the wrong idea about God. Many young people grow up with a confused idea of God as an old man with a beard on a cloud because of the influence of religious art. By contrast, the Catholic Church supports the use of art in worship. The Church argues that the writer of Exodus cannot be outlawing the use of images altogether, since just a few chapters later he instructs the Israelites to decorate the Ark of the Covenant with images for decoration. This means if Catholics use images only as an inspiration to pray and worship, and to not worship the image itself, then they are not breaking the second commandment. The Catechism says, the honour paid to sacred images is a respectful veneration, not the adoration, or worship, that is due to God alone. Paragraph 2132. In addition, Catholics would point to the Incarnation as another reason why it is acceptable to use images, particularly of Jesus, in worship. God himself took on the limitations of human form, and so representations of God, whilst in human form, are justified. God took on human flesh and human qualities, so any image that shows these human qualities can help reveal something of God to humans. Whenever these images can help people focus on spirituality, the Church says they are to be welcomed as they succeed in turning men's minds devoutly towards God. Thanks for watching. I've been Mr. McMillan.